Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Nim. How are you, Babale?
Very good. How are you, Abele?
Very good. How is it,
Good.
South Africa?
It's great. And the weather has
Yeah.
been amazing. Today is a little bit foggier, which I also like. How is it in Israel?
Israel is frozen and
Yeah,
rainy and
yeah,
beautiful.
amazing. And are you traveling more?
Yes, I'm right now. I'm in Tel Aviv. Tomorrow I will be in some other places, and then on Saturday I'm going to the UK, and then
Wow.
back to Israel. And yes,
Wow. I didn't even know
yeah,
that. Back to Israel. Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Good. So we're back. And by the way,
Mhm.
we're streaming on Instagram. We should be on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You might be listening to this as a podcast later. You might be tuning in live. So
Yeah.
it's good. There's a lot of people. If you're wanting to comment, ask questions, please do. We
Yeah.
sometimes miss them for some reason. I think I sometimes don't see yours and you don't see mine potentially, but we'll do our very best.
Good.
Good. Okay. So today, the subject is honor and your quality of life and how those connect. Your honor. People know that they should act with honor. There are some cultures that use it even more, like the Japanese, for example, have a very big understanding of honor, but it's kind of a lost art, a lost understanding. And there is a direct connection to quality of life.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to speak about today. And that's the topic. And kick it away with where you want to start, and I'll ask you questions along the way.
Okay, good. So, honor, the word comes from the word honest. So, the derivation, the source of the word honor is actually being honest. And really, the definition, if you really understand the definition of the word honor, you will actually have the full answer. And from that forward, you will be able to progress. I think most people don't really understand the word honor, and the word honor have a very specific definition. It is the ability to causatively keep on a given course. You know that is right, so you know that the course is right, so you will not be moved by any force, so you causatively continuing on a given course regardless of any opposition, any opinion, anything else, while maintaining the willingness to beingness to all viewpoints.
Wow.
So
So
you got
yeah, sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say we need to break it down, but go ahead.
yeah, so you're going on a specific course that you know is right. So you know it's right not to steal. You know it's right not to cheat. You know it's right. Something is right. You know it's right. And you go there not because someone taught you, not because of your education, not because of what the society agree. You go in that direction because you know it's right.
Hmm.
And regardless of the opposition, regardless of the opinion. So, for example, if someone had an honor in the Holocaust, he knew his right to save Jewish people. So, regardless of the opposition and regardless of the danger to himself, he continued on that given course, but he was still willing to give beingness to other viewpoints. So you don't use it as a method of making people wrong, and you don't block your viewpoint, because if you said this is the only right way and you don't see any other viewpoints, you gradually becoming stupider and stupider, and you will make mistakes. Actually, you will get the opposite.
I see. So it's very important as you go to actually totally understand, totally see, and let the person have their viewpoint, no matter how different it is to yours, even if it's the Holocaust and you're Jewish.
Mhm. You
How do
you
you
really
do
have
that?
to have. Well, you see, when you allow other people to have their own viewpoint, they actually doing the first step of becoming honorable. Because if you take someone and you make them wrong, you don't allow them to have their viewpoint, you block their ability to become honorable. And
I see. So, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
it is really because a person improve in direct ratio to him not being wrong. So when a person is being wrong or made to be wrong, he will not improve. But when a person is made to be right, even if he's doing the worst thing in the universe, but you can still see the good intention that he have. You can still see, you can still allow him to have the viewpoint. You're not in agreement with that, but you allow him to have his viewpoint. You will see that he will change, because at that moment you put him on the road to becoming honorable. You actually apply the second part of the definition of honor, and by that he will improve. So if you take a child and you tell him this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, you make him wrong, 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 wrong. You don't grant him the beingness of he has a viewpoint and it's okay. What will happen? The child will become more and more and more difficult to deal with, because when a person is wrong, he start to say, well, okay, if I'm wrong, if indeed I'm wrong, then it means that whatever I'm doing is dangerous to others. So I'm going to limit myself, limit myself, limit myself, and you start to build a jail around you by you being wrong. So if you make a person right, you help him to remove the jail. He start to observe, and because he can observe, he can improve.
Yes, got you. So you need to actually, when you let the person have their viewpoint and do what they want and what they consider to be right, even when you don't see it that way, you actually allow them to be honorable and you are acting honorably, right?
Yeah.
But
So
okay, yeah.
so I'm not letting them do. I'm just granting the beingness, and I say, look, I understand that you have that viewpoint. I can see how. I'm not in agreement with that. I will not assist you to do it, but I can see why you will think in that way.
Okay, how what
And
is granting the beingness? If like what does that mean for someone that doesn't know?
so basically, what I'm telling them, that they decided to be someone, and it's okay that they decided to be that person.
Okay. So it's so
Yes.
hard to do though. Like it sounds great, but I feel like when you're in the moment and you have your specific situation with you, not you, but the person, anyone listening, you think, but my situation is different to what Mayor said on the live stream.
Yeah, and that's why your situation is different, because you cannot grant
Mhm.
beingness to that person. I'll give you an example. You meet
Yeah.
a new lady, and she has a little bit of different viewpoints than yours. But because you really, really want to have a relationship with her, you're willing to grant her beingness, and you don't make her wrong. You don't tell her. Let's say that you met a lady, in your viewpoint that masks are totally stupid, but she thinks that masks are the most important thing in the universe, and you just grant her beingness, and you say, yes, I can understand, I can see, I can understand why you think like that. I can see that. You will see that you will be very, very willing to do that. And before you know, she will tell you, but sometimes it's really stupid. You go to a coffee shop, you go in, and while you walk in, you are with a mask, and when you sit, you can take them off. There's no different. She changes by herself,
Hmm.
but it is your willingness to grant her the beingness that caused her to see the insanity in the viewpoint.
Interesting. So you need to really be totally okay with someone having a totally different idea to you and just be okay
Yeah,
with it and let them
yeah.
have that.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to change them, but you're going to change them by you demonstrating or setting up a good example. So really, you can think about an honor as a description on how should a friend behave on all floors. So how should a friend
Mhm.
behave in any situation? He should be
Mhm.
honorable, which means he's doing the right thing from his viewpoint. He's going on a given course despite all oppositions, but he's allowing his friend to have the viewpoint. And just by setting up good example, the friend changes. But if you go to the friend and start to argue with him and say, well, I believe I'm left and you are right and right is wrong and left is right and right is left, and you start to arguing about nonsense because you don't allow him to have the viewpoint, you don't grant him beingness, you'll see that the friendship will not survive.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
see
the
it.
guy will get worse. It's not
Yeah.
important even that it's not as important that the friendship will not survive, but the guy will get worse because you convinced him that he's wrong. You're telling him that he's wrong. So the more he think he is wrong, the less he will observe.
Yeah, I can totally see that. That when you make somebody on top of everything wrong, they will literally build their own jail.
Yeah.
100%. They'll communicate less. They'll step out less. They'll feel less confident, and it's like building their own jail. So that makes total sense. And
Now
so does the yeah.
the flip side of it that you will start to get to deteriorate because you lost your honor. You, the person that don't see the good in people, you lost your own honor when you decided that someone is bad. Because if you decide that someone is bad, so obviously you need to protect yourself. And when you protect yourself, you put all kind of barriers around you. And those barriers are there to protect you, but actually they make you blind.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. You put you put up barriers, walls in front of your own eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so got you. Now, I mean, I have a friend recently that started dating a girl. They didn't work out, but
Yeah.
she had totally different political opinions to him. So it's interesting that you gave that as an example. And it was just very hard for him to get over the hump of like, she must be stupid because how does she have these opinions? And so, it's interesting because he has his given course, she has her given course. What do they do in that situation?
Yeah. So what happened is when a person have his given course and he's not granting beingness to other people, he's not honorable. He's just trying to be right,
Hmm.
and that's a
Yeah.
different thing. When you just try to be right, what you do actually, you covertly or overtly trying to make other people wrong.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I can see that.
So you cannot set up a good example. And you at that moment you decided other people are bad. You start to put the barriers, and what happens is you lose your freedom, the freedom to observe, the freedom to love, the freedom to admire. So what
Hmm.
you will have, you will build more and more and more barriers to yourself while you're thinking that you're making sure that nothing will happen to you. So from
Mm.
being
Yeah.
honorable, what you start to do is you start to resist, which means to keep close all the things that you don't like in order to avoid them.
Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you resist that person's opinions. So of course you're going to get into bigger arguments. It's going to hit you even more. You're going to be thinking about it. It's going to be a problem for you and for them.
Yeah.
So, but how do you set up a good example if you have two different political opinions? How does somebody actually go about setting an example with an effort to change the person without changing the person, if you get what I mean?
Yeah. So my purpose is not to change the person. My
Hmm.
purpose is to actually get the person to see how right he is, so he can actually have enough right, so he can entertain some changes, some wrongness. It is only when a person is super powerful that he can become merciful. It is only when a person is super right that he can actually become wrong or think that he can change something.
Hmm.
It is only when you make a person super, super amazing and rich with the certainty or rich with goodness that he can give some of this thing away. But when you make him wrong, what you do the exact opposite. You take away from him the goodness. Take away from him certainty. So he has to keep to the little certainty, the little good that he thinks that he has. And if you will actually check people and what they argue about, right and wrong, let's put right and wrong about political behavior or about almost any subject in a prospect of a lifetime, and you will see that it's really
Yeah.
irrelevant. If a person is about to die and his friend has a different political opinion, you will see that the political opinion will not make any difference because it's
Yeah.
really nonsense. Because both sides are just insane. Like, what are you talking about? Politicians that lie about the left things, or politicians that lie about the right things, because you cannot become a politician without lying.
Yeah.
so,
Yes,
so what's the big
100%.
difference? You understand?
Hmm.
So it's really the argument do not solve between them, because the argument is not about the political view. The argument is about, you made me wrong. I will show you that you are wrong.
Yeah, yeah, very true. That's amazing. That's amazing. And so with that in mind, you need to be very willing to be wrong, essentially, right?
You
The person needs to be super willing to be wrong so that they can allow others to be right, or how
No,
does that work from yeah.
you don't need to be wrong, because you have your view. You're keeping your eyes open, and you just, at the same time that you are right, you don't use it as I'm right, but you are going on a given course that you know is right, and at the same time you make everyone else at least as right as you. So it is not about making yourself or others wrong. It is about
Mhm.
allowing yourself to go on a given course, setting up a good example of being honorable, being able to go on that course despite all opposition. And what the good example is that despite the fact that there is this guy that have totally different opinion than mine, I'm not taking this thing that is just an opinion. It's nothing.
Mhm.
And that opinion becoming the most important thing. I have to make him wrong. It's just an opinion. I mean, it's nothing. It's not even,
Right.
it's an opinion. So he
Yeah.
thinks A and I think B. So people argue between Biden and Trump. Okay.
Mhm.
If you would really evaluate these two personalities, I wouldn't give any one of them the title of the most genius person in the world. I
Yeah.
wouldn't give any one of them the most polite person in the world. I wouldn't take any one of them and use them as an example to my children as what is good behavior. So,
Right.
what is the argument between the stupid and the stupider?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
actually nonsense. If
Yeah.
you really put it in perspective, the argument is irrelevant. Almost anything, when you put it in perspective of a lifetime, never mind lifetimes, you will
Right.
see that what people argue about is nonsense. How do I know? If I ask any husband about the last 2, 3 arguments that he had with his wife, he wouldn't be able to give me all the details. The wife would be, because they have
Yeah.
much better.
Yeah, exactly. But the husband, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. We had an argument about what? I don't know. It's like,
Yeah.
we had an
I was
argument. It was bad.
yeah, I nodded my head. I said I was listening, but I don't know what I yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's, in
true.
reality, if you will look at all the things that you thought that are really, really extremely serious,
Yeah.
after a day or two or a month or 3, they are not serious. How do I know? Because right now you have something new that's more serious.
Right. Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's
And
really
now
irrelevant.
yes, yes. And it is. I can see that 100% by the way. And somebody here said, and I saw a lot of the comments coming through, so thank you by the way, guys, and hello to
Yes.
everyone
Well,
on. But really quick, somebody said, what if it's not about opinion, but let's say it's about one's value or ethics?
let's define value or ethics. Okay.
Okay.
So ethics is the ability to evaluate for yourself and decide from your own viewpoint what is the greatest good to the greatest number of being, people, or things. You
Yeah.
still, if you are honorable, you immediately become ethical as well.
Hmm.
So that's one view on ethics. Another view on ethics is when you join a group, you take on yourself the moral code of the group and you act according to that moral group. When you violate this moral code, you become not ethical. So if I'm a criminal and I join a group of criminals, the moral code is don't tell the police. If I go and tell the police, I'm not ethical. So if
Right.
I'm honorable, I will keep on a given course that I believe is right, and I will automatically become honorable. Yes?
Yeah, and ethical. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, values is a kind of laws that someone gave you as to what is right and what is wrong. It is something that you agreed before and now you behave upon them. Why would you do that? Because you are useless right now to decide based on the situation, so you use something else. So
Right.
values are needed only for people that cannot be responsible and ethical and keep on a given course. So for as long as you are honorable, you actually don't need values. Values, laws, rules are only for insane people, only people that cannot by themselves evaluate and say this is right and this is wrong. Right, not from my viewpoint, but right is the greatest survival to the greatest number of being, people, or things. So it's
Amazing. So
actually automatically linking together if you are honorable.
got you. So basically, if you have honor, you don't need the rule book of what are the values. You are honorable, so you will do what is right.
At
You
that
don't need
moment.
at that
Yeah.
moment. Exactly. And okay, so that makes sense. So you're in a relationship and one person, their honor, I don't know, says to cheat, even though it's not right, but from their weird viewpoint or their weird value or their weird ethic level, it is the right thing.
Okay, so let's
And
let's have a look at cheating. Okay,
okay,
so if we take the definition and we saying that it is something that you know that is right, I'm talking about you, the spirit. The spirit
yeah,
is perfect, and the spirit is incapable of doing something wrong. It's incapable.
yeah,
That's why when you do something wrong, no one needs to come and tell you that you are wrong. You know. Actually, when
mhm,
someone tell you that you are wrong, it's too much because there's two people that telling you but that you are wrong, but you already know that you're wrong. Even a
right,
child, even a baby, when he's doing something wrong, if you will observe, you will see that he recognizes it as something wrong. So
right,
when you do something that is wrong, which means that do not bring the greatest survival, you don't need a rule book. You don't need someone to tell you. You know it's not right. So it's
hmm,
not honorable because you're not going on the road or on the direction that you know is right. Not your entities, not your past, not it's not some kind of rules that you can bend to justify why it's right or wrong. It is you, the spirit, and the
yeah,
ability of the spirit is to know. The spirit is this thing that you know, that knows. So when you do something that is not right, you know is not right, and you immediately violated the code, the definition of the word honor.
yes, okay,
That's why, by the way, you don't need a code of honor if you are sane. Only insane people need code of honor.
got you. And but would you say that most people, even though they don't like to hear it, are insane to some degree? I mean,
If a
would
person
you?
cannot
Yeah.
grant beingness to someone else, he's insane.
Okay, so that's your measuring stick. Can you grant beingness to any opinion, any idea, any value, or any thing that a person has? Can you let them have it?
Yeah, even if like your wife come to you and tell you blah 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 blah, and you think that's totally wrong. If you cannot just see that that's her viewpoint, and she, not her mind, not her past, she is perfect, and if she is telling you that it must be perfect from her viewpoint, and if it's not perfect, it's simply not her, and your job is to bring her back, and once she is there she will behave immediately. How do you bring her back? You make her right. You see, you granting her enough beingness to say, okay, I know that you're perfect. If you're not perfect, It's obviously not you. It's your past. It's whatever. I'm not going to give importance to your past and make it a big thing. I'm not going to
Yeah.
intensify it by giving it, by validating it. So what I'm saying is, I hear you. I understand that you have that viewpoint. And because I understand that you have that viewpoint and I'm willing to entertain it, immediately she cannot push against you. And so she will not feel wrong. And because she will not feel wrong, she will be able to observe. The reason men don't win in argument with women is because they push against the woman.
Mm-hmm.
So the person, and it's not really important if it's man or woman, it's more a joke.
Right, right.
But,
Yeah.
but if a man or woman push against the other side, immediately there is no improvement. The end of this argument will be a smaller relationship, less good relationship. Even if they will recover, they will never recover to the same level until you will be able to actually see her viewpoint, grant her the beingness of she has a viewpoint, and it's only a viewpoint. It means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not a perfect viewpoint, it's not her. So you're talking to some kind of an entity and you're getting worried. So it is like you have a wife and she has a dog and she comes to you with the dog, she's holding the dog and the dog barking, and you think that what the dog say, the barking dog, is so important, and you argue with the wife about the dog barking, and it's nonsense because it's just a barking dog. It means nothing. If it's not perfect, if it's not pro-survival, if it is not aesthetic, if it's not beautiful, if it's not wow, you need to know that it's just an opinion, and you grant beingness to her viewpoint to that viewpoint at the moment, so she doesn't have to continue. So she can say to the dog, "Okay, fine, we understand you. Now I can talk."
Amazing. Got you. Okay, so one last example because I know we're running out of time, but that's unbelievable. How does it work if you have a son, as an example, that is doing lots of drugs? How do you let them go on their given course? How do you recover their honor when they think that right now the best thing to do is to go with their friends and do drugs?
Okay, so if your son thinks that this is the best thing to do, one thing is you need to understand that this is his viewpoint and he's doing drug and it's not good for his body. But what could be worse to him than the drugs is that you make him wrong about it. But if he's doing drug and okay, look, it's your body, it's your mind. If you want to do that, it's okay. I can give you the data about drugs if you want, or if you don't want, it's okay. But good to do drugs.
Yeah, I see.
That's
I mean,
the end of it. Because let's have a look. 90% of people on Earth did some kind of drugs at one point or another.
true.
Those that stopped, those that realized that it's actually not good for them, are those that no one made them wrong about it. So they themselves realize, okay, 1 second, it's not so good for me. Don't want it.
Yeah.
Those that went into drugs had to prove to someone that they are right. And they are right not necessarily about drugs, they are right about something else. Right. And they couldn't make themselves right with this something else, so they make themselves right with that drug. What does it mean to make themselves right? To make someone else wrong. There's not one person that taking drugs that don't try to make someone wrong.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And also, I want to add to that, like, I don't think that there's an example of a parent that gets really upset with their kid for doing drugs that actually resolved the kid from doing drugs. Like, it never works. It just destroys the relationship even further. The kid ends up doing drugs anyways, and you lost the kid. So it's not like it works to go and like go against them.
And if you really get upset, it's because he's done or doing drug and he's not admitting it. So he says to the kid, don't do drugs, but he's drinking. Or don't do drugs, but he takes painkillers all the time. Or don't do drugs, but he's overeating. So he's taking some kind of a drug, or he has a drug of beating his wife, or whatever his drug of choice, but he's taking some kind of a drug that the drug of the kid will stimulate with him. And because of that, he attacked the kid so much. He is not honorable already. But
Yeah, totally amazing.
if you're honorable, you will keep on a given course, you will set up a good example, despite all oppositions, and you will grant beingness to the opinion of everyone else, because you will know that the moment that you don't do that, you put them in jail and you put yourself in jail, because from that moment on, when that second part of the definition is missing, there's no honor for you. There's only a jail that you build secretly that will kill you and everyone around you.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Everyone that you actually bring into your jail with you without even realizing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing. Amazing. And so before we wrap up, obviously we said honor and quality of life. And people think quality of life as having an amazing relationship, having great friends, enjoying incredible experiences, traveling, good food, whatever quality of life that means, having fun, adventures. How does honor connect to that?
Okay. So to have a good quality of life, you need to have what you want to have and not have what you don't want to have.
Say that
That's
again.
what defines it. In order to have good quality of life, you need to have what you want to have.
Yes.
And don't have what you don't want. So you don't want to have diseases, but
Right.
you do want to have money, let's say. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have these two parts, is then your quality of life improve. Okay. And
Yeah.
it's not only money. You want to have good ideas, but you don't want to have a bad past. So all of those things is quality of life. Now, what define what you have and what you don't have is your ability to observe, which means it is how much space you can cover and what stops you, or how much you can communicate. And what stops you is this thing that you put the jail around you. When you start to think that people are not good, you will reduce the amount of what you have and you will increase the amount of what you don't want to have. Why? Because in order for you not to have what you want to have, you need to be blind, because everything, this universe is a universe of abundance. There's a lot of everything.
Right.
It is that you don't, the only thing is that you don't see it. So I can put a person, two people at the same time, at the same position, at the same everything, and the one person will become a millionaire and the other person will become a criminal. What's changed is not the environment, is what the person can see. And what defines what the person can see is how honorable he is.
Wow. Yeah. That's incredible. That makes total sense. Total sense. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Now
Wow.
the handling, how do you improve it? You improve it by knowledge. The more knowledge you get, the more responsible you will become, and the less you will need to make other people wrong. The urge to make other people wrong is a manifestation of you losing control. When
Oh,
you
interesting.
lost,
Yeah.
yeah, when you lost control, you will immediately need to make someone wrong. You see someone had an accident, he instinctively tried to find someone or something to blame, because
Yeah.
when you lost control, immediately you will need to make someone wrong, which means you cannot be honorable when you lost control. So the way to recover your ability to become honorable is not being beaten or someone telling you that you are wrong. It's the opposite. You need to find truth. And truth always makes you, the spirit, right. When you find the piece of truth, it makes you right. And every
Yes.
time that you have a piece of truth, one of these lies goes away. And what those lies? Those lies are all those things that tells you how someone other than your own is responsible for your condition.
Wow. Yeah.
A lie is this thing that you use to justify how someone other than your own is responsible for your condition. So the less lies you have, the more responsible you are.
Yeah. And when you say someone other than your own, you mean other than you.
Yeah, other than you, the
Yeah.
spirit. So you
Got
can, there are some people that blame the parents. The parents are dead for 20 years, they're still blaming them, or the brothers, or the
you.
sisters,
Right.
or the government, or the husband, or the wife. They're blaming them for their condition.
Yeah.
And that moment, it means you make someone else wrong, which means you lost control before that. And the reason you lost control is because you were not responsible. You were sleeping on the wheel.
Yeah. Right. Right. And I think it's very easy these days to fall asleep at the wheel. Like there's a lot of information that conflicts. There's a lot of pressures. There's a lot of decisions you make throughout the day about actually making other people wrong, and then you start getting used to it. And so I think that then
Then
what
you get
I found,
hooked.
then you get hooked on that drug exactly. And what I found actually, and we're talking really about a way to wipe that away, but what I found is that the pieces of knowledge, whether it's these lives or other things like the soul coffee, which we'll talk about in a second, it wipes away, like clean slates every time
Yeah,
against those things that urge you to make others wrong.
yeah, it's exactly that. Because everything around you is set up to keep you down. How do you keep someone down in jail? Is by him becoming not honorable. How? By him being convinced that he is not the source of his condition, so he need to blame someone else for his condition, and at that moment is not honorable. But because most of the people don't understand the full definition of the word honorable, they have this fake reality that they think that, oh, I have such a pride that I will go on this way and that's way, and I don't care about anything else. If you don't care about anything else, you're not honorable.
Hmm.
The only way to be honorable is to have the full definition. You're going on a route you know is right, despite all opposition, while allowing everyone else, while granting beingness to everyone else and their viewpoint. And when you miss the second part of the definition, it's like you want to have a plus without a minus. It doesn't work in this universe. You need both sides, and only once you have both sides will you actually have control, and you will see that the magic is that everyone around you become honorable. If you sit now and you start to talk, you'll be the space of the Pope or an amazing rabbi or something like that. You see that immediately your responsibility goes up, because the Pope will never make you wrong, or the rabbi will never make you wrong, or supposed not to make you wrong. And at that moment, because he is honorable, he going on a given route despite all opposition, and he see everyone else as his children, as someone that he just love, and he can see the viewpoint regardless of what they've done or not. And he knows that they're basically good. And at that moment, you see that you immediately improve.
Hmm.
Imagine you take a child, and this child, you just tell them how amazing they are, regardless of how bad, whatever bad things they do. You just see the good in them. You'll see that this child improve. You go to a lesson, you go to a dance lesson. If the teacher tell you you're wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, it will be the first lesson and the last lesson. But if the dance teacher tell you, wow, that's amazing, that's amazing, that's amazing, you'll say, but yes, but what about that? How can I improve that? And he was, you can improve it like that. But now he didn't
Yeah.
make you wrong. He answered
Right.
your question.
Yes. Yes. That's so true. That's very, very true. I can see that for sure. I can see that with parenting. I can see that with self-defense classes that I take, with dancing, with learning an instrument. Very amazing. Super true.
Yeah. So
So
you need
amazing.
continuously, you need
Yes.
this injection of truth that
Hmm.
will help you to look around and remove lies. You
Yeah.
really need this thing. And when I'm talking about truth, it's not truth that I'm giving you or a truth that I'm telling you. It is just a pointers for you to observe so you realize what is the truth, not being told what is the truth. Because if you are not the source of your own knowledge, you don't have a truth, because the truth cannot arrive to you via something, via a page, via Instagram, via video, via recording. It has the only way that you can get the truth to a person is get him to observe despite the jail, and he arrive at the cognition, and that become his truth, his viewpoint. And at that moment, because he's the source of that piece of data, even if I instigated, even if I started it, but he observed, he had this cognition, and he 100% sure that it's his thing, not me. It's not because
Co-
he learned it from me.
yeah, and cognition.
Only
What do
that
you mean by cognition? They arrive at
a
a cognition.
realization. He
Okay,
arrived at
so
a
they
realization. Something happened like
some
wow,
kind
a
of
wow
aha.
moment. Yeah,
Wow. Yes.
aha moment. Yes.
And at that
And then
moment, yeah.
And then that moment, a piece of lie goes away, because truth eliminates lies. There is not one truth that did not eliminate lie.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Incredible. Incredible. And okay, great. That's super powerful. And I was gonna say that what we are kind of talking about here, and what I drink every morning, is soul
Me too.
coffee. Yes, not just coffee, but soul coffee. And
And that's a soul coffee.
yeah,
When you
that's soul
drink
coffee
that
as
kind of
well.
coffee, that's a soul
Yeah,
coffee.
that's soul coffee. Good Turkish coffee right there. It's soul
Exactly.
coffee. So let's talk really briefly about the soul coffee, and then I want to quickly look through the comments. But let's talk about the soul coffee and what that is. Essentially, it's what we've explained, but if you want to add more to it.
Yeah, a soul coffee is a video, a short video that I'm doing every day that give a, an indication for you to observe. And once you observe, you realize something that allows you to take a piece of this universe and turn it from a law into I know. Turn
Yeah.
it from a value into I know. And it helps you always, always, always to see other people's viewpoint.
Yes. Yeah.
So, for example, a soul coffee would be, well, a child. There's a different kind of life forms. There are amoeba, there is animals, there is wives, there is people. Uh, there's different life forms. Yes,
Yeah.
there are husbands. Yes, different life
Yeah.
forms.
Right.
And most people behave to different life forms in a different way. How do you know that it's a different life form? You behave to it in a different way. You behave differently with amoebas than what you behave with the dogs or animals, to what you behave to people. And by the fact that you behave differently, it's actually an indication that you understand that it's a different life form.
Right.
Yes.
100%.
Now,
Yeah.
most people behave towards children differently than what they behave to people, differently than what they behave to animals, and so on. Which
Hmm.
means that most people secretly believe that a child is a different life form. They go talk to a child and they're telling, "Hey, chiku, chiki, chiki," like they think that is some kind of an imbecile, you know.
Yeah.
they
Yes.
don't they don't actually know that a child is a spirit, exactly like any other adult, that has a small body, always with a good intention and sometimes with bad results. Now, if you don't know that, you will allow yourself to do to children things that if a stranger will do it to your child, you will kill him. For example, if a stranger will come, your child sitting and playing, and a stranger will come and just take his hand and pull the child away and say, "Oh, you're not doing it anymore." You will probably take an F-16 and shoot him.
Yes.
Yeah, not an
100%.
M16, an F-16.
Yeah, it's a full-on fighter jet to strike that
Exactly.
person down.
Yeah,
100%.
because you have exclusivity on doing that, and now you violated your exclusivity.
Exactly.
If a child will start to talk about your child badly, you will be devastated and you will not tolerate it. But you do that easily. Adults doing
Mm,
it easily against their child, which means they think that a child is a different life form.
yeah.
So in the Soul Coffee, I'll give this kind of an idea, and I'll give you the definition of a child, and I will give you probably a drill or something to look at how other people behave to their children, not you,
Hmm.
other
Yeah.
people. And once you see how other people behave to your children, to the children, basically by looking at them, just looking without making them wrong, you grant them beingness, and you will see that automatically, because you grant them beingness, they simply don't know. So they are not a bad people, like you didn't know as well. All of a
Right.
sudden, you start to act honorably. You change your
Hmm.
way. You decide what is the right way to behave towards a child, despite all opposition, despite the fact that he may be nagging, that he may be tired, and he may act like this or he may act like that. And you will grant that child, which is the other side, beingness with his viewpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. And that
So this
it's
is just an
amazing.
example of how
Yeah.
a soul coffee will work. And because
Yeah.
99% of the day you get fake realities from the physical universe, from the media, from friends, you are being bombarded with nonsense. Uh, this soul coffee, somehow balancing it is so powerful that 3, 5, 6 minutes and your cognition, your realization is good enough to hold you for a day or two. And it's actually more than what the physical universe and other people give you.
Hmm.
So it's actually arming you with more and more and more ability to recognize truth. And the end result is that you become that thing that recognizes truth. That's the definition of the word clever. Clever is someone that can recognize truth.
Hmm.
And you start to behave cleverly instead of behaving stupidly, which means someone that behave without the ability to recognize truth. So he's been pushed by things rather than creating things.
Yeah, totally. Amazing. And I love it that in the Soul Coffee, you touch upon so many different angles in surprising ways, whether it's business or how to make more money or relationships or your mentality for dealing with a difficult friend or a difficult situation. And it every day surprises you. And
Yeah,
you every day leave with a realization that maybe you spoke about relationships, but you're like, oh my God, I can actually apply that with my staff in business. And
yeah,
somehow it just starts to connect and it's amazing.
yeah. It's
So
really, really powerful, extremely powerful. And people that doing it, the the reactions are like life changing.
yeah, it is fascinating. People, it's like you think that they've had a complete overhaul, and what did you do? But it was just a 3 to 5 minute super potent video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
amazing. So for anybody that wants to get it, you can get the Soul Coffee at gprosperity.com/drink soul coffee. gprosperity.com/drink soul coffee. It is a very affordable price. We've made it a price that anyone can get. It's 19.90 a month. It's like 80 cents a day, and it's much less than you spend on your actual coffee. And
Yeah,
this is much better coffee. And the amazing thing is that you can basically get the first month, and if you don't like it after the first month, you get the full refund of your $19, so risk free. and later you can cancel anytime. And last week we added a way that if you don't have PayPal, if you just want to put your credit card, you can just do it with your credit card, because some people said yes, but I don't have PayPal. So now you can go to the website and connect even without that.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yes. So
It's really powerful. It's really powerful. And you can see in
yes.
the comments people saying soul coffee equal powerful.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yeah. I
yes.
see.
And Natasha said,
Everybody loves lives
yeah, and
and the
Natasha
soul
said, by the
coffee.
way, this is so amazing. And I've just realized that ever since we started the fundamentals, which is
Mm,
the code that God deliver, I've been seeing the good in people way easier, letting them be who they are, granting them beingness. Wow. Yeah, really, really
that's super
beautiful.
well. Very
And
well.
Anna said, yes, soul coffee is pure gold.
Yeah,
Amazing.
everybody loves the soul coffee. It's
Yeah.
so amazing. And another thing I wanted to add is that Shaked wrote, "I love your lives." So thank you, by the way,
Oh,
for
thank you,
everybody that
Shaked.
is, yeah, that watches and shares this afterwards. You can always share it as a YouTube link, as a Facebook video, as a podcast, to get others to watch and get the amazing, extreme wisdom that my dad delivers.
My mommy. I love you.
Mwah. I love you. Thank you for today. It was
Thank
amazing
you.
and super powerful as always.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. And we
Yes,
will
thank
see
you.
you when are we going to meet next time?
I think next week, Tuesday, we'll see how your travel schedule works out. But
Yeah,
if not,
I will be fine. I will be in the UK, so I will speak with a
okay.
different accent, but
Oh,
otherwise,
by the yes. You'll be much more proper from the UK. Yes.
exactly. I will have
Yeah.
the proper accent, not like an Israeli accent. My accent is not good right now because I'm in Israel. But when
Oh,
I'm in
okay.
the UK, I have a proper accent. I'm just
Yeah.
behaving according to the place I'm in.
Oh, I see. Well, when you land in the UK, because of the accent, your IQ immediately skyrockets just by having a British
Exactly.
accent. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the best accent in the
Yeah.
universe. And the second best accent is Australian and then South
Mm.
African
Yeah, I like those. Those are so good.
and then
Yeah, we
Israeli.
need those. Yeah, and then, and
Israeli
in
is
final
challenging.
place, yeah, next lifetime we'll come back British.
Yes, exactly. Definitely.
Yeah, that was great. Okay, today was amazing. Next week Tuesday we'll do it, and it's going to be amazing as well. So join us, and I'm looking forward to it already.
Thank you, Gali. I love you.
Mwah. I love
I
you.
love you.
Mwah.
I'm
Bye.
missing
Thanks
you.
everyone.
And
Love you
thank you,
too.
everyone. Thank you for joining. Bye bye.
Bye.